Guys, this is your girl Wakeji Kamore and welcome to Reflections by Wakeji Kamore. Today we are going to be looking at Job chapter 33, and in this chapter Elihu is the one who is still speaking. He wants to present his case against Job, and again, as we saw, that he's a bystander who's been listening to all the speeches that Job's friends made, and now he feels like he has an opinion and he needs to speak. We saw him start his speech in chapter 32, and it was basically just filled with him boasting of himself and just saying, yeah, I have a right to speak, I have a lot of words to say, blah, blah, blah. But now he actually gets to start speaking. If you haven't read this chapter, please read it for yourself so then you can understand, and that the Holy Spirit will give you enlightenment to better understand God, to better understand, just what it is that God meant for us to learn from this chapter. If you haven't read this chapter, again, please pause and read. Yes, I will read the chapter word for word, and I'm going to be reading from the New Living Translation, but it will be prudent for you to read the word for yourself. All right, let's get on with it. It says, Elihu presents his case against Job. It says, listen to my words, Job. Pay attention to what I have to say. Now that I have begun to speak, let me continue. I speak with all sincerity. I speak the truth. For the Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. Answer me if you can. Make your case and take your stand. Look, you and I both belong to God. I too was formed from clay. So you don't need to be afraid of me. I won't come down hard on you. What? You have spoken in my hearing, and I've heard your very words. You say I am pure, I am without sin, and I'm innocent, and I have no guilt. God is speaking a quarrel with me, and he considers me his enemy, and he's put my feet in the stocks and watches me, my every move. But you are wrong, and I will show you why. For God is greater than any human being. So why are you bringing a charge against him? Why say he does not respond to people's complaints? For God speaks again and again, though people do not recognize it. He speaks in dreams, in visions in the night. When deep sleep falls on people as they lie in their beds, he whispers in their ears and terrifies them with warnings. Really? He makes them turn from doing wrong, and he keeps them from pride. He protects them from the grave, from crossing over the river of death. Or God disciplines people with pain on their sick beds, with ceaseless aching in their bones. They lose their appetite for even the most delicious food. Their flesh wastes away, and their bones sticks out. They are at the death's door, and the angel of death waits for them. But if any angel from heaven appears, a special messenger to intercede for a person and declare that he is upright, he will be gracious and say, rescue him from the grave, for I have found a ramsman for my life. Then his body will become as healthy as a child's, firm and youthful again. When he prays to God, he will be accepted, and God will receive him with joy and restore him to good standing. He would declare to his friends, I sinned and twisted the truth, but it was not worth it. God rescued me from the grave, and now my life is filled with light. Yes, God does these things and again for people. He rescues them from the grave so they may enjoy the light of the world. Mark this well, Job. Listen to me, for I have more to say. But if you have anything to say, go ahead. Speak. I am anxious to see you justified. But if not, then listen to me. Keep silent, and I will teach you wisdom. Hey, okay. All right, so Elihu's speech to Job may seem reasonable at first glance, but it contains subtle half-truths, lies, and false assumptions. You see, the thing is, through Elihu, we can highlight signs and signs and how to recognize a false prophet. Number one is pride. As we can all tell, Elihu is very prideful. I mean, even at the end there, he says, listen and I'll teach you wisdom. Like he's basically telling Job, where truly happened, I will teach you what wisdom is. We see him lying because Elihu misquotes Job and forcefully claims things that Job never said, reflecting on deceit often used by false prophets. Elihu begins his attack by quoting Job as allegedly saying that Job said he's pure, he's not any wrongdoing, that he's innocent, that he has no guilt in him. Yet, this was a lie because Job had repeatedly admitted to being a sinner. This is Job chapter 7 verse 21, and he said, "Why do you then not forgive my wrongdoing and take away my guilt?" What Job was saying is, hajui amefanya nini, like he can't see anything that he has done, and the things that his friends were accusing him of, he had not done. But he many times over and said, "God, whatever it is that I have done that has angered you this much, why can't you then forgive me?" So at no point where Job thinks he's more righteous than God, or where he thinks, he's pure and innocent. He's like, those things you're accusing me of, I've not done. I haven't done those things. So we see Elihu using lies, and lies is one of the things that you can use, or rather be able to use to be able to recognize a false prophet. The other thing is presumption. Elihu assumed that Job's nightmares were signs from God's rebuke, and this shows how false prophets presume to speak for God. As in, why is it that he is assuming that these specific nightmares that Job is going through, this ailment that Job is going through, which is really, really hard, is really that a sign of God's rebuke? And this is how false prophets presume to speak for God. And they are saying, wewe hizo vitu napitia, nyota yako sijui imefanya. They are presuming to speak for God, but your situation could be completely different. The other thing is discouragement. The false prophets use discouragement. We see Elihu listing Job's illness as proof of God's judgment. When what Job needed was encouragement, false prophets often discourage others by using misleading claims. The other thing he does, Elihu, is that he casts doubts. In verse 23 to 24, Elihu casts doubts on Job's belief in a heavenly intercessor, because Job believed that there would be an intercessor that would just come and help them have a conversation with God, be like a mediator between him and God. And Elihu just says, maybe there will be an angel who intercedes for Job. Maybe there will be an angel who appears. And what this does is that he's trying to cast doubts of even the things that Job believes to be true. Another thing is arrogance. And I don't think we need to be told about how false prophets can be arrogant. And we see Elihu concluding his speech by demanding Job's silence and promising that he would teach Job true wisdom. Elihu boasted about his wisdom and he showed arrogance, which is very much common in false prophets. I hope that you have learned something from this chapter. For me, I have learned just a few things that you can see and identify in false prophets. And that will be pride, lies. They always presume to be speaking for God. They try to discourage. They cast doubts in the things that you believe to be true. And then they're always arrogant. May our eyes be open, and may we be able to see and discern false prophets from true prophets. Thank you so much for listening, and see you tomorrow.